I took this 450 Bushmaster 245 grain soft point, plugged the values into the Hornady ballistic calculator, and did a little experiment at 200 yards out at the range. Let me show you what we got here. So as I mentioned, it was the 245 grain interlock SP bullet. I zeroed at 25 yards. I'll get into why I did that more in a second. The ballistic coefficient of this bullet is 0.173. And I estimated the velocity at 2,000 feet per second out of my 16-inch barrel. The box says 2,200 out of a 20-inch barrel. So I plugged those values in to the calculator, and the expected values here at 50, 100, and 200 yards with a 25-yard zero in that bullet. 1.8 over at 50, 3.4 over at 100, and a drop of 4.7 inches at 200. What I actually observed, I was very close at 50. I was about 1.5 inches higher than predicted at 100. Same thing at 200, as you can see here. So let's show what actually happened here. As I mentioned, I zeroed at 25 yards. There's that. It was maybe about 2/3 of an inch high. I'll get into why that might matter more later. This green sticker is showing where the predicted impacts were based on the chart. It was pretty much right on at 50 yards. At 100 yards, I was about 1/2 inch high and a little off to the left. And then down at 200 was predicted down here, 4.7 low. I actually came in right there, about 3.2 inches low. So in both cases, about 1.5 inches over. And, you know, I think that might tie back into the zero, maybe being just a little high. I didn't really have enough of this super expensive ammo to spend a bunch of rounds getting it zeroed in perfectly. But I think it kind of makes sense with what was observed. So more on why I did a 25-yard zero. My 450 Bushmaster rifle is not set up for hunting with a scope. It's got a primary arms red dot on it. It's a short barrel. It's kind of set up more for defense and CQB. So that's why I zeroed at 25 yards. Also, the ballistic calculator said that if I were to zero at 50 yards, the drop at 200 yards would be like 12.5 inches or something. So I decided to zero at 25, which keeps that 200-yard distance at a more manageable 4.7 inch drop. So one final thing, I entered in afterwards, I kind of fudged with the calculator again and changed the velocity from 2,000, changed it to 2,100 just to fiddle with the numbers, and corrected the temperature to 40 degrees and corrected the barometric pressure to what it actually was. And those values were actually pretty close to what I observed. Maybe if you combine that with the zero being a tiny little bit high at 25, that predicted a drop at 200 yards of 3 inches, and I actually observed 3.2. So I think 2,100 feet per second is probably what really happened there. And if my zero was right on, these things might have been even closer to perfect. So ballistic calculator, right on. Good job.